Hello, FireRed here, and today we're going to be talking about the rewards that you can get from catching Pokemon in Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen. Now, like other Pokemon games, there are rewards that you can get for filling up the Pokedex. But FireRed's a little different. There's no shiny charm for filling the dex up, thankfully, because it's kind of impossible to do with just FireRed and LeafGreen. But there are some rewards you can get throughout the game for filling up the dex. You only need to catch up to 60 Pokemon, thankfully, so it's not too crazy. And you'll get a reward for every 10 Pokemon you catch. Now, you do have to go to specific NPCs for these rewards, but usually you won't have that amount of Pokemon until you get to the area where those NPCs are anyway. But we're going to go over them. There's 6 rewards in total. One of them is mandatory for the post-game, so you definitely want to do this. But we'll go over the rewards, tell you about them, what they do, and you can determine for yourself if you think it's worth doing. But I would recommend catching Pokemon throughout the game just to get at least 60 for these rewards. So let's go over them. Okay, for the first reward, for catching 10 Pokemon, once you get here to Vermilion City, you want to come over, all the way over here. Now, first things first, make sure you go onto the SSN and get the HM for cut before you do this, because you will need it. But after you get the HM for cut and give it to one of your Pokemon, you can go through the Diglett Cave here, and on the other side, if you head south, you can cut down a bush and you can find one of Professor Oak's aides. He will give you the HM for Flash, which you will need for the Rock Tunnel. It's the only place in the game I believe that you actually need Flash for, so you can feel free to just throw it on a Pokemon you're not actually planning to really use throughout your game. But definitely you want to grab it, because traversing the cave without Flash is kind of a nightmare. But you do only need it for the one thing, so just throw it on a random Pokemon. Don't worry too much about putting it on an actual team member that you plan to use, because it is kind of a useless move outside of this. Now, speaking of Rock Tunnel, which we are at right now, if you come into the Pokemon Center here, after catching 20 Pokemon, you can speak to this guy right here, and he will give you the Everstone. It only has one use in this game, which is stopping Pokemon from evolving if they're holding it. It doesn't have the benefits of passing down natures when breeding, so it's not the most useful item, but you might as well grab it while you're catching Pokemon and while you're here. It's on the main path of the game anyway, and if you're catching Pokemon periodically, you'll probably have 20 by now. Okay, for the next reward, you want to come here to Route 11. Now, you can actually get here through 2 different ways. You can either come to Route 11, which is next to Vermilion City and the Diglett Cave, or if you're in Lavender Town or in this kind of area, you can come south to this area. This is where you would find one of the first Snorlax that you can come across in the game. This little gate here. So if we come across here, I can show you. This is where Snorlax would be south of Lavender Town. So once you've defeated the Snorlax or caught the Snorlax, you can then come through here and also get to the gate this way. So after you've caught 30 Pokemon, you can come up here, you can talk to this guy, and he will give you, I believe, the Itemfinder. Now, this is, in my opinion, a mandatory item to get. It is very useful because you need it to get some specific items. One of these items is right here. Now, normally, hidden items in these games, you just have to step in front of the item, press the A button while facing the tile the hidden item is on, and you will get the item. But there are a few hidden items in this game that you specifically need to use the item finder to get. If you don't use the item finder item, you just won't get it. That's just how it works. One of these items is leftovers. After you've defeated the Snorlax that's here, stand on the tile that the Snorlax was on, use the item finder, and then you will receive leftovers, which is one of the best held items in the whole game, as it heals you 1/16th or 1/8th of your HP every turn. I forget which it is exactly, but very useful item. You want leftovers. And you might remember, if you've played these games before, hey, there's a second Snorlax over in Celadon. Does that also give you leftovers? Yes, it does. You can get 2 leftovers with the item finder, so I would highly recommend doing this. Even for just these items alone, it is highly worth catching the 30 Pokemon to get these. I'll just show you right here. The other Snorlax is right over here in Celeron City, right on this spot. Use the Itemfinder, get yourself a second leftovers. Now, there's a couple of more items to go over that you can get with this, which I will just quickly show you before we move on. Okay, so back in Lavender Town, up on the top of the Pokemon Tower, where Mr. Fuji was that you rescued from Team Rocket, if you stand on the spot that he was standing on at the very top of the tower and use the item finder, you can get the Soothe Bell, which isn't immediately useful as there's no friendship evolutions you can actually do during the normal story mode, but it's still a useful item to have for the post game, or if you just want to get your Pokemon's friendship up anyway for using moves like Return, or if you just want to have them up so that, say for example, you have a Golbat in your team and you want it to evolve as soon as you get the National Dex. You'll probably be friendship high enough by then anyway, but if you want to use a Soothe Bell for any point in the game, this is where you get it. Top of the Pokemon Tower with the item finder where Mr. Fuji was standing. And then the last place that you can get an item with the item finder, or at least the last one that's actually very useful, is in Viridian City. Now, if you come here, this is the last gym in the game. After you've beaten the last gym leader in the game, I'll just show you quickly because I think you have to do a specific thing with this, if I remember correctly. Okay, if you come all the way to where the gym leader was, if you speak to him after you've beaten him, he will disappear. And then if you stand on the spot that he was standing on, use the item finder, you will get the Macho Brace, which is the only way in this game to actually increase the EVs that you get from battles. So if you wanted to create an amazing fully EV trained team to use in the battle tower or whatever else, would recommend getting the Macho Brace. It's the only way to increase your EV gain in the game. So definitely grab that if you plan to do any kind of EV training of any kind. If not, you can kind of ignore that item, but it's really up to you. Okay, so after 40 Pokemon have been caught, you come back here to Celadon City, over to where we talked about the Snorlax before on Route 16. Come into this gate, and then up the stairs, you can talk to this guy, and he, for catching 40 Pokemon, will give you the Amulet coin. Very, very useful. There's a lot of things in this game, specifically the TMs and Pokemon that are in the game corner. You kind of want a lot of money to be able to get access to them, especially the TMs, because they're some of the best moves in the game you can get access to, like Flamethrower, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball I believe is in there. So you do want to get yourself a lot of money. So getting the Amulet coin as soon as you're able to would be very, very, very useful to get. Now, if we come down to Fuchsia City, which is down here, is where the, well, I was going to say 5th gym leader. It's 5th or 6th gym leader. You can kind of do the 5th and 6th gym in any order you want. But this is where the Safari Zone is. Once you get here, and if you've caught 50 Pokemon, you come into this gate, upstairs, and this NPC, this Professor's Aide, will give you the XP share. Now, the XP share does not work like it does in the later gen games. It is not a shared experience to all of your party. It is a hold item that one Pokemon will receive 50% of the XP from a battle. That is it. It's not as OP as the later gen games, sadly, but if there is a Pokemon that is super low leveled that you want to add to your team and train up, the XP share can be very, very handy for that specifically. So, would recommend grabbing it for that. Now, the last reward for catching 60 Pokemon, you don't get access to this until after you've beaten the Elite Four and become champion. But after that, if you've caught 60 Pokemon, come in here, back to Pallet Town, come talk to Professor Oak, and he will give you the National Dex. You need the National Dex to actually progress through the post-game content and get access to a lot of evolutions that are later gen than Kanto. So you definitely want to do this, and you basically need to do this if you want to do all the post-game content. So, make sure you're catching Pokemon periodically throughout the game. You don't have to go too crazy with it. Like I said, it's only 60, so just catching new Pokemon as you kind of come across them. You don't have to really hunt for them. You'll probably have 60 by the end of the game if you're just catching them as you play through. But would recommend definitely doing that. You'll need it for this. and it will save you headache just catching them as you play the game, rather than wait until the end and then having to do all of that at once. But that's all the rewards. 6 rewards in total. Just do it as you're playing through the game, get the rewards. A lot of them are very useful. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching the video. I'll be making more videos with little tips and tricks for Pokemon Fire Red as it's coming out. But if you guys like the video, subscribe. Watch the rest. You can catch my live streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. Probably going to be streaming Pokemon Fire Red when this video comes out. So I will thank you all for hanging out with me, watching this video. Hope it was helpful to you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.